Let's freaking go. If you did not see this morning, I posted the LSU prediction score for today, and I told you the buck stops here. Today it stops. Today it stops. All the bullshit that's happened with LSU, it stopped today. I told you that 8 hours ago. LSU upsets number 6 Florida in the Swamp. What a hell of a game. Holy crap. What a hell of a game. What did we just witness, y'all? What in the hell did we just witness? I can't believe it. I cannot believe what I just saw. You had a team out there that just gave it everything that they had. Every single thing that they had from start to finish. Guys, on that last drive, you had 5 true freshmen on the football field. And you got a Cade York 57-yard field goal to win it. Holy hell. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm emotional as all get out. I am emotional as all get out. Max Johnson just absolutely played phenomenal. Golly. What a hell of a game, y'all. What a hell of a game. All right, you're on live with Blake Ruffino and Are You Serious Sports. We just upset number 6 Florida. Who do we have? Who's our first caller of the night?
Bob, it's Colin.
What's up, dog?
And Blake, I don't know if you remember, but when LSU and Florida got postponed the first time, I said that was coming off the Missouri loss. I don't remember. It was coming off a loss. And I said that LSU would step up because this Florida team wasn't as good as people thought they were.
Look, they played fantastic tonight, Colin. They played absolutely fantastic. You can't take it away from them. Max Johnson played fantastic. He went 21 of 36, 239, 3 touchdowns. You sound like you're out of breath, dog. Did you run around the house or something? What happened?
I did 2 laps around the house, and I did 2 laps outside around the house.
I hear you, bro.
I woke up the neighborhood. I don't care. The dogs are barking. The kids are hollering. I don't care because it doesn't matter what LSU does the rest of this season. We ruined Florida's, and that's what matters in the end.
Absolutely.
And I know it. I know it helped your boys from Ohio State out, but
they're not my boys.
It doesn't matter.
They're not my boys. They're not my boys. I'm just glad. I'm just glad the Tigers won, bro. I'm just glad the Tigers won.
Bruh, like I said, I don't care what LSU does now. We ruined Florida season, and that's what matters.
Yes, indeed. All right, Colin, we appreciate you calling in, bro. We got a couple more calls calling in, brother.
All right, go ahead, bud.
All right, guys, this is the AYS postgame show. Everybody do us a favor, all 194 of you, do us a favor, hit the like and hit the share. We'll get to a couple of your comments. You can call in. How about it, says Jacob Cole. How about it? Yes, I am on fast tonight. I can't believe it, y'all. I just absolutely can't believe it. The team, look, it has been a long couple of weeks for your LSU Tigers. It has been a hell of a long couple of weeks for your LSU Tigers, and they go out there and they upset number 6 Florida. Look, I know that this is going to go on, just completely unheard of. Whoever that was calling in, call back in. But I cannot believe what I just saw from this LSU defense. No Derek Stingley, no Micah Baskerville. You're thin up front. You have true freshmen in Jaquelin Roy out there playing defense. Absolutely amazing. All right, you're on live with Blake Ruffino and Are You Serious Sports? LSU just topped number 6 Florida. Who do we have on the call log with tonight?
Hey, Blake, it's Justin Dunning. How you doing, man?
Justin, we hadn't heard from you in a while, man. What's been happening?
Oh, I've been all over the place for work, but I didn't forget about you. Hey, look, first I gotta apologize to you. I'm a big man. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I went at you on Twitter this week and said you were absolutely crazy for saying LSU was going to put up 35. I'll take my whooping when I'm wrong. So you got me on that one. But you know what? I'll tell you this. I've never been happier to be wrong.
Yeah, I'm with you. Look, look, Justin. Let me just say this, and so all the callers and all 280 people that are watching right now live, listen. The buck stopped here. I've been hearing rumblings all week that you had true freshman players coming out, starting to be leaders. Max Johnson started to be a leader this week, and the theme of the week was the buck stopped here. And man, how great did they look tonight, Justin? How fantastic did they look?
I tell you what, man. For everything that we had go wrong this season, tonight can be the foundation for next year.
I agree.
Not only did you play the young guys, but man, those young guys look phenomenal. I mean, you had young guys that it almost makes you wonder why they weren't playing earlier in the year, you know?
Yeah.
And look, me and you, I think we're only a handful of the ones that I know. Week 3, Miles got hurt. We said, give it to Max, you know, kid. Look, I'm not taking away from TJ, but you got a guy whose dad was an NFL quarterback. His uncle's a head coach. Football's in his DNA. I mean, you got to give the kid a shot. And after tonight, I don't know how you take that job away from Miles. Not even next or from Max. I don't know how you take it away from Max next year now.
I mean, look, Bundy has a great point inside of Facebook Live. Bundy says, and look, something that's going to go unnoticed. Bo Pelini has taken the brunt of the beatdown all season long. And Justin, quite honestly, they made at Florida at times look really bad. I mean, that defense had 8. Justin, they had 8 3-and-outs. 8 against that against that offense. That hasn't happened all season long. Your thoughts on this defense?
Hey, look, as good as it was with the 8 3-and-outs, which I mean that's impressive as hell, but 20-20, Florida looks at times, you know, almost unstoppable. But how about the defense inside the red zone? I think they showed the first drive. Florida's red zone touchdown percentage was something like 77%. And you get, I don't remember exactly how many, but you had to have 5 stops inside the 20 tonight. I mean,
yep.
How about the defense inside the 20? I mean, you know, one of my buddies was giving me crap all the yards we gave up. I'll give up yards all day long if you play like that inside the 20.
Yep. Justin, last question. How crazy was it? How crazy was it that kid threw the shoe at the end? How stupid was that?
Well, I'll tell you this. My sister, love her to death, is a Gator fan. It's a huge flaw, I know. She texted me and said, he better not be on their team next week. And I think that's going to be the feeling among Gator fans because the kid's a senior. How boneheaded of a play to do that as a senior. I mean,
absolutely.
Hey, look, I love him.
I hear you. Thanks for calling in, Justin.
Get to it, man.
Thanks, man. All right, guys, you can call in. The number's right there, 225-435-9387. That's 225-435-9387. Inside the Swamp, or Sam Bacon says, inside the Swamp, forget them Gators. Look, man, you got to give it to Kyle Trask at times. Look, he threw for almost 500 yards, 2 touchdowns. But listen, this Bo Pelini defense at the end of the day, I mean, you have that many turnovers. Look, Kyle Trask threw 2 picks, gave up another fumble. It was absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. All right, you're on the phone with Blake Ruffino and Are You Serious Sports. Everybody that's watching this right now, please hit that like and hit that share. We have a caller on the phone. Who do we have the pleasure of talking to tonight?
This is Nick with Inside the Swamp.
Nick, what's up, man? I mean, listen, I'm not, you know me, I'm not going to just beat down on you, but from a Gator fan, let us know what you thinking, bro.
First off, I mean, it was a hell of a SEC game. I mean, it come down to the last minute, but in my opinion, we overlooked LSU and we're all eyes on Alabama.
Yeah. I mean, no question. I mean, and look, you got to give LSU credit. They had a lot of true freshmen out there and they played hard. I mean, the turnovers, Nick, just really killed y'all, man.
Whoever, I can't remember his name, but number 2 and defensive back for y'all, I think they kept saying he was a freshman, but he is a beast.
Yeah. Hey, Justin, you want to hear something crazy? LSU, of their 5 DBs, they had 3 freshmen, 2 true freshmen and 1 redshirted freshman in Jay Ward. So, I mean, look, I'm not trying to say that to brag or anything like that. I mean, they just had a lot of inexperience out there tonight. And look, Kyle Trask still threw for 474 yards, but it just seemed like there at the end, and at times they just couldn't convert on critical third downs and critical red zone times.
Every time we got in the red zone, y'all shut us down. The defense has overwhelmed the offensive line. Even last week when we played Tennessee, we were constantly overwhelmed by their defensive line. Our offensive line is garbage, and the defense is no better. I'd rather have Bo Pelini than Todd Grantham at this point.
I don't know if you I don't know about that, dog. But you got to give Bo credit. Look, you got to give Bo credit. They called a good game. They had a good game playing, and look, it was a bend don't break, and they prevailed there at the end. Nick, let me ask you. I mean, this is going to be a talk all week in Florida. The kid, I forget his name, threw the shoe there at the end to give LSU a fighting chance. I mean, man, what a bonehead play.
Next weekend, I hope Marco Wilson is his name, and he's supposed to cover Devontae Smith. I hope Devontae Smith just puts a beat down on him, 300 receiving yards just to make him embarrassed. I mean, it's just awful. What stupid idiot.
Yeah. I mean, look, that's just – I mean, there's no defending that at this point. There's no defending that at this point, Nick. Nick, let me ask you this question. What did you see from Florida that you were just – that they've done all season that they just weren't able to do tonight? Was there anything out there that they just were unable to do tonight against LSU?
Hold on to the football. Prior to tonight, I think Kyle Trask threw 3 or 4 interceptions during the season. And, I mean, he threw 2 and then the fumble when he got sacked. Kyle Trask is pretty disciplined when holding on to the football, but tonight he was just real sloppy, and I felt like he was forced to throw more. I agree.
Nick, we have a lot more phone calls calling in, man. I appreciate you coming in. Sorry we couldn't get with you during the week, but we'll how about this? We'll bring you on next week and preview of the SEC championship game, my friend.
Sounds good. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. All right, guys, you can call in. This is the AYS post-game show. Let's get to a couple of these stats for the LSU Tigers. Look, you got to give LSU credit. They ran the ball 50 times. Chris Curry had 17 carries. Ty Davis-Price had 8 for 55 yards. And look, they stuck to the running game. Mac Johnson, 18 carries, 52 yards, and another 36 passes. That's how you have to beat. Look, how many times? Let me just ask you guys this, and everybody that watches AYS during the week, how many times have we been beating the drum over the head saying that with a young team, you have to establish a running game? It might not look pretty. It might not look pretty at all, but you have to establish a running game, and look what happens. You get a big-time win, 37-34 in the Swamp. Look, I want to make this very, very clear. You can't say it's a program changer because your program just put on the best college football team of all time last year. But it's definitely a step in the right direction. You got to give all of these guys, and you have to give all of these true freshmen credit where credit's due. Now, they have a big game next week against Ole Miss. Can they finish this season strong? Look, if LSU finds a way to win 3 of their last 4 games, that's going to be huge for this young team. Absolutely huge, and you can't take that away from them. What's up, KJG? Says Max made his dad proud tonight. Hell, he made everybody in Louisiana proud tonight. I mean, all 281 people that are watching right now are proud tonight. I mean, that's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Blaine Smith says Florida fans know he's been lucky all year with INTs. He nearly thrown 3 or 4 interceptions every game. Well, look, you got to give it, but LSU executed on him. Look, it's one thing to say that he almost did it. It's another thing that LSU was actually able to execute on it. Look, Eli Ricks, as boneheaded as a play. Let's start this in the first half and make our way through. We'll take some of your phone calls. But look, the pick by Eli Ricks was huge. Bo Pelini went to a zone defense, confused Kyle Trask, gets the pick. Look, that's the second time this season Eli Ricks has almost just given up a touchdown or pick 6 because of what he was doing boneheaded right there at the end. But look, he was a beast. And you got to give it to him. So that was a big play. It shifted momentum. Look, LSU fought in the first half a lot. You go up, 24-17 in the first half. That's a big time. That's big time for momentum for a young team. Look, and I just thought on the defensive side and both sides up front, I want to say this too, because the offensive line for LSU has been absolutely just wrecked over the last couple weeks. I don't care that they got 4 yards per carry tonight. Guys, you realize that LSU ran for 4 yards per carry tonight and here's the crazy thing, with 2 of your top 2 running backs going down, you were having a walk-on playing running back and a true freshman that had barely seen the field in Chris Curry. I mean, how just amazing is that? Adam Parr said that was worse than Moore from Ole Miss lifting his leg up. Yeah, that was horrendous. That was horrendous. Look, another big thing, another big player you got to give it to tonight is Jabril Cox. Jabril Cox, man, he is he might be the best cover linebacker in college football. I mean, he was going up against receivers, making play after play after play. I mean, I wish we would have seen some of this fight last week, but still, you got to give it to him. All right, guys, you can call in. The number's right there, 225-435-9387. It's 225-435-9387 if you want to get in on the show. My brother says, Cooper says, hello, Uncle Blake, and go Tigers. Yes, sir, Mr. Cooper. Yes, sir. I can't believe it. The Tigers. Man, I just can't believe it. I just cannot believe it. Absolutely amazing. Jacob Cole said, I was proud to see Curry step up on social media and back it up on the field. Yeah, he did, Jacob. He surely did. All right, we have a phone call. We have a phone call from Mr. Corey Kaye. What's up, Corey?
What's up, my brother?
I don't know. Just basking in the victory of knocking off the number 6 team in the nation, man. What about you?
Excited. It's a great night, even though I'm at work. Great W.
I got you. How much were you able to catch of the game?
Oh, pretty good bit. We don't have a whole lot happening right now. I sure don't want to use a Q word.
Yeah, I hear you. So were you able to catch some of it or most of it or what?
Yeah, I caught the majority of it, man. How about the play of Max Johnson?
I know. Huge, man. Absolutely huge. Look, I mean, just big drive after big drive after big drive, CC. He played fantastic.
He did, man. I was proud of him. I was actually proud of the whole team, man. I thought a lot of the young guys really stepped up and they fought, man, and they just did not give up.
Yeah. Every single drive. Look, even when Florida would score, they would never get down on themselves. They kept back, and they came back fighting all game long. It was fantastic.
Yeah, we got one more game to go, man. Hopefully we see that same energy, brother.
I think we will, and it's a big victory. I appreciate you calling in, CC. We got a couple more people calling in, man. We appreciate you calling in, brother. Have a good night and be safe, my friend. All right. That's Mr. Corey Kaye. Let's see. Reginald Cormier says, great fight displayed tonight. Reginald, that just goes look, we could break down this game. We can break down the stats and we can break down the scoring drives, which we have here, and we can do that. And that'd be fine, and we can do that. But at the end of the day, nothing is going to be taken away from the simple fact of how big this team fought tonight. This team just came out and showed a will and want to win. That's the fight we've been calling for. That's the fight that you want to see. So absolutely fantastic. John Patton says the fight we've all been missing. Look, guys, I mean, this is going to be a continuous thing, an absolutely continuous thing, because you can't take it away from them. Look, Florida goes up 7-0, 5-play, 52-yard drive. LSU in the first half comes back down with 11 plays, 75 yards. They tie the game. Then Florida on another 3-and-out. Let's see how many 3-and-outs Florida had tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then of those 8, there was 3 other drives that you had of turnovers. Look, I know that Florida still scored 34 points, but you have to give it to this defense. Guys, think about what's going to happen when these guys get older. It's going to be amazing. All right, everybody joining the show, do us a favor, hit the like and hit the share. We greatly appreciate it. Okay, we have another caller here. You're on the phone with AYS, and my name's Blake Ruffino. You're on the AYS postgame show. Who do we have the pleasure of talking to tonight?
Hey, bud, this is Adam from Mandeville.
Hey, Adam.
How you doing?
Hey, Adam, what's going on, man? How we doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, especially after tonight. I just wanted to call in. I watch your show some, and I wanted to talk about the game tonight. And Coach O, I've heard a lot of people saying he lost the locker room, and I've heard that for the last couple of weeks. But each game, other than the Alabama game, I feel like the team still hustles, and they still play for him. And I think they showed that tonight. And I think he's got a young team. When I say a young team, and everyone talks about Alabama, they rebuild, and they come out strong. But let's face it, man. After last year, the Tigers lost. I think going into the season, we had 4 returning starters, and then middle of the season, you got Marshall that opts out, and then now you got Gilbert that opts out right before this game, and I think the young players tonight. You talk about the freshmen and the sophomores playing tonight showed that they want to play and they want to play for Coach O. And I think this was a great, great game tonight. And it was a good foundation. Although we're sitting at 4-5 now, I think this was a great foundation going forward. And I'm looking very forward to the Ole Miss game. And like I said, now Coach O may at the end of the season may need to reevaluate on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. I'm not saying Bo Pelini is the answer, nor Eansmanger at this point. But I think as far as Coach O as the head coach, he has not lost the locker room. And I think those guys showed tonight that they play with heart. And I'm, at 4-5, as every LSU fan out there, I'm not saying this is where we want to be, but I think this was just showing that Coach O is not necessarily where everyone's talking about, like, let's get rid of Coach O. I think it was a great, great game, and I'm looking forward to, the future with him. So,
look, John, I see you. But yeah, look, you got to give it to him. You got to give it to him. Okay. Look, I mean, here's another thing about Bo and Steve. Look, you had true freshmen out there and they fought for them too. I mean, there were times where LSU was giving up big plays and they came back and they fought. And I think that you're starting to see not just fighting for Coach O, but I think fighting for everybody. They're fighting for pride. They're fighting for themselves. And look, you can break this game down, Adam, in so many different layers, but there's nothing more that you can break down than the wheel of want to fight for LSU. And it's impressive, man.
Absolutely. And that's, I could touch more on this, as far as like, let's break down Gilbert leaving and Marshall leaving. Look, and the problem is if I break it down even more, in my opinion, I'll probably get a lot of people that will hate on me and all of that. But
hey, they hate on me too, man. It doesn't matter. Just give your take. What you think?
All right. Well, then let me just go ahead and say the NCAA needs to look at this, because if a player says, "Oh, I'm going to opt out after 2 losses in the season and the championship's over," I'm looking at my career for the NFL. I'm opting out. What do you think that does for a college football team? And so
yeah.
I just, like Gilbert, in my opinion, at this point, as a freshman coming in, and I get that he's unhappy, but you can't opt out on your team, in my opinion, because you're not happy with the way that the season's going. And that I feel like that doesn't teach these young players, and I'm the same type of guy. Like, look, let's look at kids that are 10 years old. The last place team getting a trophy. I don't agree with that, because it doesn't teach people. It doesn't teach kids. It doesn't teach anything on how to make themselves better. And so I feel like there's a lot more going on with college football, where players can just say, "Oh, I'm done for the year. I'm more worried about my career in the NFL." And I get that. I get that to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
But how it's going now, and so I just feel, I like I said, I couldn't be more proud for these kids tonight. The ones that truly wanted to be in the LSU program and what they did tonight. Because everyone, yes, they got beat on plays. I get that, but they never gave up. And I've been an LSU fan I'm almost 40 now, and I've been out there since I was a kid, and every game, and I have season tickets and all that. And so that's just my opinion. And like I said, I watch your show from time to time on there, and I felt like, hey, I'm going to call in because, I've been getting a lot, I've been seeing all on social media, Coach O's lost the locker room. But if anything, tonight should have proved to everyone out there he has not,
I appreciate the call, Adam. We got a couple more calls calling in, man, but you're always welcome to call into AYS, man. Thank you very much.
Continue to watch the show, man.
Thanks, man. All right, this is AYS. This is Are You Serious Sports. For everybody that's just joining us, hit the like and hit the share. Look, I mean, again, I can't emphasize it enough. And I saw that comment from John Adam. I said, look, if LSU won, I would wax my chest hair. So it looks like I gotta shave the chest hair. All right, look, we have another caller on the AYS hotline. Who do we have the pleasure of talking to tonight?
Blake Press. What's going on, man? How you doing?
What's going on, man? How we doing tonight, bro?
Good, man. I'm at work, but I got to catch all the game pretty much. Man, them freshmen showed up, and they grew up quick.
They sure did. What was the most impressive thing to you about them?
The defense.
Yeah, I mean, I thought you said the defensive backs play fantastic. I guess my question was what was most impressive about them in your eyes?
They flew around. They flew to the ball. They didn't seem scared of the occasion.
No, they certainly didn't.
Aside from a couple blown coverages, I mean, they played lights out. I mean, you had McGovern, who's a true freshman, Elias Ricks, true freshman, and Jay Ward and a redshirt freshman. I mean, what else? And really, you had Mo Hampton too, and he's a sophomore. He played a little bit last year, but not a whole hell of a lot, So, I mean, they were young back there, man, and they showed up.
Yeah, look, I think that they float around. I think that they played hard. I think that they. What's crazy here is they actually took the coaching. Look, McGovern got beat on that touchdown. They came right back to him, and he had a pass defended. Actually, he had 2 pass defended on the very next drive. I think that's in-game adjustments, and that's huge when you're talking about everyone. Look, everyone's bashing on Bo Pelini, but you got to give him and Corey Raymond credit for that after they were attacking them, and they would come right back out and fight.
Oh, no doubt. And look, after the first couple of games of the year, I was kind of skeptical about Bo Pelini, but look, I think he's got this defense going in the right direction. They've gotten better every game up until this point, and I'd like to see him give Bo another year. Let him recruit his own players, let him coach his own players, give him a full year, not just a COVID year, give him a full year to see what he can do.
I agree, man. I completely agree. And look, I guess one other thing we'll get you on out of here. What was your perception? What did you think about Max Johnson playing tonight?
If Miles Brennan comes back next year, obviously he's the guy. But the year after that, there's no question Max Johnson's your guy.
Yeah,
the way he put. I mean, he stepped up. He's a true freshman. He's had maybe 3 or 4 drives in the last 4 or 5 games or so, and like a mop-up role almost. But I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you put him out there against Alabama and he beats Alabama, but I think he gives you a better chance at winning.
Well, it's definitely. Yeah, look, he'll get to start next week, and it's definitely going to be a shootout for sure against Ole Miss. Look, brother, we appreciate you calling in, and we thank you for watching the show, man.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right. So let's look at some of this, too, because I got some more things I want to break down here, too. Looking at these stats just over across. And look, when you look at and when you look over the game and you rewatch the game, it's impressive to see. Look, LSU did not turn the ball over. They were able to establish the line of scrimmage. 3 touchdown passes from Max Johnson. It just completely felt like he was in control. The moment wasn't too big, right? Like I don't remember a time in the game, maybe other than when Max Johnson took that big shot at the along the sidelines. Remember when he tried to hurdle and got hit big out of bounds? Maybe he seemed a little rattled then, but he came right back out. He kept firing all night long. And something that's impressive too, and you got to give it to him, The longest catch tonight was from Kayshon Boutte of 41 yards. Max read that perfectly. If you remember, they sent that corner blitz. The safety was on a mismatch against Kayshon Boutte, and the fog put it right where he could catch it. And then they would go down and score on that Bradford little innovative play where they swung him out in the flat for the touchdown. That was absolutely impressive. You got to get better. I mean, look, the only thing that you do have to get better, I know that really the only thing you got to get better with is that Kyle Trask in this offense tonight really did some good things. I mean, Kadarius Toney had 9 catches, 182 yards, and a touchdown, along with 49. But look, you still had Cardell Flott went out. That's another one. Cardell Flott was out, and you had true freshmen out there. Jennifer asked prediction on the SEC championship game. I say Bum-Tards by 40. Yeah, Bama's the best team in the country, much less the SEC. MB says Cox draft stock went up in the pass coverage at linebacker as well. He played fantastic. He played absolutely fantastic. There were huge drives there at the end of the game where he was breaking up passes that got you out of those third down situations, and you got to give it to Jabril Cox. You got to give it to him. Look, this entire defense at times, here's what the crazy thing is about today's game, and everybody sees 34 points. They see 474 yards of passing offense, and you freak out. But y'all do realize, people do realize that this LSU defense tonight established that many 3-and-outs. It's impressive, man. It's impressive. Think about this. What if this defense and this Bo Pelini defense in and of itself is still established when they get more players in, more of Bo's players, more of a 4-3 kind of scheme, and you're able to get a better offense to keep your defense off the field? Jeez and Pete's. Josh Rogers says Buckeyes is greater than Bama. Let's argue. Not tonight, dog. Look, here's what's crazy, Josh, is y'all don't have a better win than LSU does right now. And LSU's 4-5. You hadn't beaten the top 16. So, look, if you're a Florida fan, you got to be upset. But, hey, it sucks. God, and this is the worst LSU team that I can remember in a long time, probably since 1999. Blake Press says also Boutte has the potential to be a Jamar Chase kind of guy. Well, he wears a number, and he was coming up big. LSU's got that's one thing that I haven't pointed out yet tonight. LSU had a lot of drops. It's hard to point that out too, especially with the fog there in the second half. That's where a lot of the drops came. I thought that Jeray Jenkins came up big a lot. I mean, Jeray Jenkins had 4 catches, 65 yards, but 3 of those catches outside the touchdown, I felt like came in critical situations, extremely critical situations. Blake Quibido says, one thing I noticed was player bonding, guys helping out each other off the ground, injuries. Yeah, Blake, that's a great point. Seemed like a lot of unity. It's funny what confidence will do, isn't it? It's confidence what confidence, or it's crazy what confidence could do. LSU had 31 plus minutes. Yeah, you take the ball away, but look, that again, and we've been beating this on AYS for months. If you are unable to run the offense that you want in the passing game, it does not matter that you're running the ball for 4 yards per carry, because look, you run the ball for 4 yards, it's 4, that's 8, that's 12, that's a first down. So I don't care that you're only getting 4 yards per carry. That's absolutely fantastic if you can continue to run the ball up the field. No, Blake Pelini gone. He might be. Look, if he finishes out if Bo Pelini does what he does tonight, or did what he did tonight, and I know that there's some rumors about him wanting he wants to be out of LSU, but if they do what they do against Ole Miss next week too, I mean, they're building. You can't take it away from them. Matt says, ask Blake, does Cox have a chance to come back next year? No, Matt, there's no way that kid comes back next year. No way that Jabril Cox, especially after the game that he had tonight. And let me throw this out there too. How cocky of it is it from Dan Mullen to keep Kyle Pitts out of the game? They tell Kyle Pitts not to play tonight. Their number one player on all of their team, the number 1 tight end, a guy that's probably be drafted in the top 15 picks. He doesn't go tonight because they think this is going to be a game that they can just roll. Absolutely not. What a stupid move. Absolutely stupid move. That should go to show you never take advantage of your opponent. Never, ever, ever take advantage of your opponent because you'll get your ass beat. MB says, I think Max was trying to speed up the game because he saw the offense had no tempo. Coaching needs to change that tempo issue. You know what, MB? Change it. Why? Look, if you just beat the number 6 team in the nation, change it how? I mean, I don't know why you would change it because, look, you just beat the number 6 team. I like that up tempo. Now there are times that Max slowed it down there at the end of the game. They slowed it down, and you got to give Cade York a lot of credit. Guys, a 57-yard field goal to win you the football game. That's huge. And another point on that, talking about Ed Orgeron recruiting and McMahon, the special teams coordinator recruiting, humongous, absolutely humongous. Chris Williams says, amen, Big Ten changed their rules. I guess Josh Rogers is in here talking about the Big Ten, Ohio State. Look, you win 5 games. It's impressive. LSU still has a victory better than you. Adam Parr, what's up, brother? He says, Ohio State has played 5 games. Okay, let's get to a couple of these LSU questions. But, Adam, I agree with you. Adam Abear says, those freshmen are not close to Brennan. They have showed up, but not on Brennan level. Adam, I'm going to push back on you here, brother. I'm going to push back on you. Miles isn't here. I know everybody talks about that they're not on Miles's level. Sounds great, but they're not here. Hey, by the way, Max Johnson, not starting, but Max Johnson has played just as many games as Miles Brennan in his career this season. So think about that. Or let me back up. Next week, we'll tie that. I'm thinking about TJ, but then next week we'll tie that. So I'm done with this woulda, coulda, shoulda with Miles Brennan. On whose level? Miles Brennan keeps getting hurt. Name a season that Miles Brennan, and Adam, I'm not taking a shot at you here, but name a season Miles Brennan hasn't been hurt. He's always hurt. You don't have Miles Brennan out there. You have 2 true freshmen that have led you this season, and you have freshmen all across the field. Tristan Lee, the 5-star offensive tackle, was in Florida tonight. You don't think that this is a big win for him? And LSU's pushing hard that they got Tristan Lee, and we'll find that out Wednesday. Colin Thibodeau says Max did a hell of a job tonight in the pocket and anticipating the defense. I agree with that. He was very confident. Those little duck passes, you know those little lob passes for Max Johnson. I felt like those lob passes where he did not know where to go with the football. And every time he did know where to go with the football, he was rifling that sucker in there. But a couple of those passes look like absolute ducks from skeet shooting, and you're just because those were ducks. Stingley was with the replacement all night. Stingley was with his. Oh, I got what you're saying. Yeah, I saw that on the sideline. Josh says, I'm just stirring the pot. I hear you. Dakota says Curry ran hard. You got to give it to him. He did, man. He ran extremely hard. Good for him. And look, he never pouted, and he came out this week and said, let's go. I'm tired of losing. Kate says, who is it bring up Ohio State? Yeah, we're not talking about other teams in this thing. Jason says, Bo gets another year. Look, he does what he does next week. He's going to get it. And Brandy Blake's team is up next, the Ole Miss Rebels. I'm actually nervous about next weekend. I mean, I'm hoping for a good game. It should be close. Let's hope LSU can finish out with a victory. Let's hope for sure. Chris says Pitts and Cox would have been an awesome matchup, would have been fun to watch. Yeah, and look, you talk about Dan Mullen on that. I mean, why do you pull your best player on offense? Because he has a little nicked up injury? I mean, Jabril Cox showed that he could have gone toe-to-toe, and I'm not saying that Kyle Pitts wouldn't have got on him a couple of times and gotten some catches on him, but Jabril Cox is by far the best coverage corner linebacker that I've seen all year in college football, and I'm not just saying that because it's LSU. Jason asks, #ask Blake, do you think E has another year? No. I mean, he still had – I feel like he got bailed out by Max Johnson a couple times. He called passing plays. Max scrambled out, got you a first down. So, no. I mean, he had some innovative play calls. You got to give it to him. He had some innovative play calls, but no, I don't think Ensminger has another year in him. Everyone joining the show, I see a lot of you joining the show. We appreciate it. My name is Blake Ruffino, and this is Are You Serious Sports. This is the LSU postgame show. Do us a favor. Don't forget to hit the follow, like, and share on any platform that you're watching us on, or the subscribe on YouTube. And don't forget to hit that like and hit the share. RC says Max has better touch in the pocket presence than Finley for sure. He had a lot of touch tonight. He had some really good touch. Josh says it sucks to be a Florida Gator. Yeah, chomp chomp. You got to give it to him, man. You got to give it to him. They played fantastic. Kelly says we dropped some key passes, but still managed to win. Yeah, that's one thing I would definitely clean up on offense. It's definitely been a problem all season long. For sure been a problem all season long, and you had drops tonight. I remember Keyshawn Boutte, Jontre Kirkland. If you remember, Jontre Kirkland had that key drop on the third down the first half, and he got pulled. We didn't see him for the rest of the night. It was Trey Palmer, Coy Moore, Keyshawn Boutte, and Jeray Jenkins. Kirkland didn't see the field after that. Look, if you can't catch, you're not going to play. Chris Williams, is it me or is it weird? Or I know what you're saying. Weird to see a lefty quarterback throwing for the Tigers. Yeah, you haven't had one since the Clausen guy in the early 2000s. Ryan Thibodeau says Curry earned that number 18. Yeah, he played big tonight. He played big tonight. YKDV Beat says the Miles Brennan experiment is over. Well, look, he's been hurt all season. He's been hurt before. He's been hurt continuously for LSU. So, yeah, I'm with you there. It's TJ Finley backing up Max Johnson now. Yeah, those two look like they're going to be battling each other out for sure. No question about that whatsoever. None whatsoever. At this point, you got to give it to Max. But really and truthfully, guys, you played 12. Let's count this again just to make sure I'm right. But you played 12 true freshmen tonight. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Guys, 12 LSU freshmen registered a stat tonight. 12. So maybe a couple more plays, maybe on special teams, but 12 true freshmen got you a stat tonight on that scoreboard or on the stat sheet. It's huge, man. And look, those guys are only going to get more experience. They're only going to get better, bigger, stronger, faster. Got to give it to them. Got to give it to them. Just a lady in Alabama says LSU definitely grew up tonight. Yeah, they did. After what happened last week, I mean, you got to give it to them. They didn't quit. LSU could have easily quit tonight, y'all. LSU could have easily quit tonight. And you think Alabama's not going to beat the brakes off of them after what we've seen over the last 2 weeks? And look, it's an epitome of what a young team does. You get beat bad last week against Alabama. You come right back out and you play absolutely fantastic against Florida. Guys, there were times tonight that I was like, man, that's just amazing. So we'll see. Sean Nichols says, we just went into Florida and beat the number 6 Gators. Yep, we sure did. Man, I was pumped up. When he missed that field goal, he gone, big boy. Yeah, talking about Jabril Cox. Yeah, Jabril Cox is gone. He ain't staying. Ain't no way Jabril Cox is staying. John Adams says, I wish Bradford would have caught some of those screens. Yeah, I do too. I think that's a little bit of timing. I mean, how many reps has that kid got? I mean, he just kind of got thrown in the fire last couple weeks. But I think he'll get better with time. He's definitely a guy that can show you that he can get some rotation. Guys, and what's even crazier, you had a walk-on running back getting carries tonight in Josh Williams. Talk about being depleted. A walk-on from Texas is getting you carries tonight. Got to give it to him. Blake says, Brady established the offseason blueprint to prevent the drops. These receivers need to get back to that. I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. Jeff 2. What's up, Jeff? What's going on? What's going on, man? He says, congrats on the win. One of the most entertaining games I've seen this season. Yeah, it was. You got to give LSU credit. Look, and this, Jeff 2 is a big Alabama fan. Huge Alabama fan. This game's going to go a long way nationally. Martino's the O-line freshman too. Yeah, that's another one. So there's another one. There's 13 true freshmen that played tonight. 13. And he got a couple of snaps, and then Austin Deculus came back in. Look, Austin Deculus played fantastic tonight too. He was getting a big-time push. Charlie Bennett says any injury reports. I'd have to look after the show. I know Stingley's leg. Micah Baskerville looks like he might be out for contract tracing. I'm sure there's a couple. Eli Ricks was banged up again with that hip pointer. I'm pretty sure that Jason Hines went down with that knee. So that's what it all looked like tonight. My mother says, I think when Finley gets to practice all spring and summer, he's going to be a beast too. Yeah, I can see that. Nathan says, I'm excited to see what these young guys will do next year. That's the scary point about all this, guys. The scary and girls, the very scary point about all of this is when you're playing that many sophomores and freshmen next year, the year after that, when you're playing that many and they've already had this experience, that's a deadly weapon. And what from Max Johnson, what he showed you tonight, very deadly. Hopefully you can finish Wednesday in recruiting on early sign today and continue to get some of these guys. I know Wiggins, the DB out of Atlanta, flipped. He's close with Derek Gilbert. He flipped to Clemson tonight, but oh well. If you don't want to come here, oh well. So what? Ojulari and Roy going to be a problem next year. Yeah, Dakota, they are. Jaquelin Roy had his best game by far. He got one big sack in the first half, and he had, I remember vividly, two other pressures on Kyle Trask. You remember the Kyle Trask intentional grounding there at the fourth quarter at the end of the game when they kicked three before LSU would go down and get another three to ice the game pretty much. He came up with the big-time hurry that would force Kyle Trask to throw the intentional grounding. Chris Williams says Von Rosenberg's the MVP for the hashtag for the brand. He played great tonight, too. He had a bad week last week. Horrendous week last week. H Corn 8, I heard LSU pays players, says, and it looks like he's a Husker fan. Well, maybe y'all should pay players because y'all absolutely suck. Sorry to tell you, but we took your old head coach that you fired after getting you 9 wins. You fired him, and you still suck. What's Scott Frost doing? What's Scott Frost going to ever do at Nebraska? Y'all can sell out the stadiums, but y'all still suck. Maybe you should start paying people. If that's what you think that LSU's doing, maybe you should do it. Because since the early 1990s, you ain't been nothing, Hoss. You ain't been nothing. You suck. Coming up in the LSU postgame show, talking about LSU this, LSU that, and we pay players. Well, you suck. You haven't been relevant since I was born. Maybe you might need to go ask your mama and daddy how that went instead of staying in their basement eating pizza. And I'm going to be quiet. Let me tell you something. I hate this. Because I don't go up in your stuff. We're reading comments. All right, you guys, you can't call in. We'll take a couple more phone calls before we get on out of here. But 225-435-9387, 225-435-9387 if you want to talk about the LSU game tonight. James, what's up, brother? How are we doing tonight? He says Cox made him some money tonight. He sure did. Did y'all hear what's his name? Shoot. Ty McShay. Ty McShay was all over him tonight saying, man, he's absolutely fantastic. I guess y'all are laughing because I was telling this dude that they absolutely suck. Heart boys. Jordan came up with an interesting stat tonight when Austin Deculus went down. How about this? And I'll give Jordan this credit here. Not one when Austin Deculus went out, LSU did not have one starter from last year's national championship game or championship team on the field when Austin Deculus went out. Talk about being depleted. That's a good stat right there, Jay. Joseph says when Flight got burned on that first drive, I was worried. We adjusted nicely. Yeah, and he was looking at Mo Hampton too, and he was trailing the receiver. I don't know if that's a trail route where he's expecting safety help, but that's what it felt like because Mo Hampton seemed like very late. Little Ruffino's rant, yeah, a little bit. Oh, well, hey, if you're calling, we're about to accept your phone call. We're about to accept that thing. Ruffino's rants or Ruffino's roast, I'm here for all of it. Well, look, this dude, Nebraska sucks. You coming up in the LSU postgame show talking about LSU pays players. I eat corn. I live in a cornfield in a log cabin. We don't even have air conditioning or a heater in our house, and we have an outhouse out back. Why don't you go sit on your outhouse, get out of your parents' basement, and get out of this AYS postgame show? Stupid. Jeff 2 says, did a guy from Nebraska really throw a pay players card? It's Divisions 1 big boy football. Everyone does something illegal. True. Very true. Very, very, very true. Jason Sheridan says, I'm just glad that I don't have to listen to Gary Danielson anymore. Well, you got 2 more years, Jay. You got 2 more years. God, I'm going to miss that theme song, though. I'm going to really miss that theme song. What I'm not going to miss is him absolutely roasting LSU every time he gets. Last year was the only time I was like, dang, man, he actually likes LSU this time. I don't know what that means. Talk your stuff, Blake, says Holden Lee. I appreciate that, Holden. Ben says, yeah, it wasn't that. Florida shouldn't have had time to respond. He would have held that timeout until 3 seconds left. Blake, Ben, you make a good point there. You make a good point. But, man, Ben, I'm going to push back just a little bit. I mean, look, on that last drive, on that very last play, you had 6 true freshmen on the football field. I mean, I'm going to take that victory, especially when you have that many freshmen on the field. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. I get what you're talking about with clock management, and he almost could have lost it, but he didn't. And again, he had 6 true freshmen. You mean to tell me if Max Johnson is a sophomore or with a full off season that they make some of those problems? I don't think so. I get what you're saying, but I don't see it as that big of a deal right now. I'm just going to say right now. Daniel says, can I get a suck? Yeah, you can, but my mom and family are watching the show. If this were, an after dark where it's viewer discretion advised, maybe, but no. Charles Reese from the Primetime Podcast says, like how people are saying we need to eat crow. I think that's everyone, including those people. I see you, Tracy. Tracy says, play neck. Yeah, I wish we could play neck. You know what? No, I'm not going to do it because I don't want to get no copyright. You know what? Screw it. No, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. I don't want to get no trouble around here. People start reporting me for playing neck. Oh, Blake, you don't own the rights to neck. Yeah, whatever. Josh McNeese, was Florida a bit overrated also? I think, a little bit. A little bit. But look, I'm not going to take anything away from LSU right here, Josh. Here's what's going to happen, Josh. I'm going to call it right now. So just everybody get ready for it. Oh, well, Florida was looking ahead to Alabama next week. So what? You know what? Champions don't make excuses. And LSU could have said that all year last year. Alabama could say the same thing. All Alabama did was they went out there and they beat down Arkansas today. They absolutely beat down Arkansas today. So I don't want to hear it. I really don't want to hear it. Chris Williams says, I know you mentioned it earlier, but does this win or winning out help flip recruiting? Also, what is your thoughts on Muschamp on the staff from DC? I'm going to take that first one first. I'm going to take that last question first, Chris. If Muschamp is the DC here, I'm going to freak out, not in happiness. Get him out of here. I mean, you hung up 52 on his defense, and let's not act like it wasn't his defense a couple weeks ago. So no, it helps recruiting. Absolutely, 100%. Blake says, I would love to know Galloway's thoughts after this win. He was so smug about a Florida win. Yeah, Colin Thibodeau said that to me earlier today. I don't listen to them Rudy Poos. I swear to God, I don't listen to those Rudy Poos. I hit mute, and when they kick the ball off, it's when I turn it off mute. I don't listen to those Rudy Poos. The only people I listen to is my wife, my mother, and the Lord above. It's the only people I listen to. And maybe a good podcast every now and then, like Charles Reese from the Primetime Podcast. Joseph says, freshmen crashed the Gator party. They did. Never take anyone for granted. That's true. They absolutely took LSU for granted tonight, y'all. Everybody join the show. I see a couple more people joining in. Do us a favor, hit the like and hit the share before we get on out of here. We'll go a little bit longer. Tracy says, Dan Mullen made a bold claim before tonight's game that even if they lost to us, he's confident that they'll still go to the championship if they beat Bama. Tracy, that's a fantastic point. And he was even so cocky as to keep his best player out. I mean, look, I'm not trying to trash on Dan Mullen, but what a stupid move. Absolutely stupid. You have freshmen on top of freshmen out there just doing absolutely everything right. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Joey Kent says Max is definitely a guy for the job. Hopefully some recruits are watching. Let's hope so, especially Tristan Lee. From tonight, the big offensive 5-star offensive lineman. That's huge. Absolutely huge. Christian says, bring on Kiffin. Hey, you got to fight next week. You talk about if we want to talk about Florida overlooking LSU to get to Alabama, let's not overlook them. This is the last game, and you don't have a bowl game anymore. Chris says, I have heard a lot on Sage Ryan, ready to see him in action. Yeah, me too. Because our safeties play like Rudy Poo tonight at sometimes. Really bad. Really, really, really bad. Beat Florida, wishes they didn't bet Florida didn't wishes they didn't play us now. Yeah, you're right. Russ says, when Max's brother done with high school, yeah, that'd be a cool connection. Johnson to Johnson. Looks like the baby ointment, y'all. Like the baby shampoo. Johnson and Johnson. How awesome would that be? They would be the Shampoo Brothers. Why do I crack myself up? Why do I crack? Look how red I am. I crack my own self up. I'm so stupid. Ronald says, we finally played a team game with limited players. Yeah, we played tough. We played absolutely tough. All right, guys, this is AYS. We're an hour in. This is the post-game show. I appreciate y'all tonight. We will see y'all again Monday. Don't forget to like and subscribe everywhere for AYS. Go to Twitter, go to YouTube, and go to Facebook. Just hit that like and hit the share. Edward Roberts says, Shampoo Brothers. Yeah, y'all like that? All right. Well, guys, we're out. We're about an hour in. Y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all Monday. Peace out.